U.S. State Department's Israeli-Palestinian negotiating team, Laura Blumenfeld. Laura, I want to bring that breaking news to you here first. President Trump warning hell will break out if all hostages, it's not clear if he means the ones that were meant to be released on Saturday or simply all the remaining hostages are not returned. He's threatening to cancel the deal. What do you make of this? Is this kind of an empty threat? Do you think he's serious here?
It's his all hell line, right? We heard that just before he took office when he said that all hell will break loose if we don't have a ceasefire deal, and it worked. You've got two big dogs right now. You've got Netanyahu and Trump. Trump is all bark, and Netanyahu likes to bite. So I think that Trump is thinking that if he doesn't get what he wants with his barking, then he'll release Netanyahu and the IDF. They're massing now along the border. They've canceled reserve. They've canceled leave for their reserve soldiers and the Gaza platoons. And so, yeah, he's hoping he'll get his way. But what I think isn't necessarily clear to everyone is Hamas has already kind of backed down. They're trying to play hardball, but with Trump, threatening and Netanyahu to burn down the stadium, they know they don't have much leverage. So I do think, I am optimistic. We're at the halfway point here now in this first phase of the ceasefire. We're halfway there. I'm going to say the glass is half full. The hostages will be released. There's too much at stake. We all saw the faces of those hostages. It's just too frail to fail.
You're reading some tea leaves here. When it comes to Hamas, you think that they might be ready to back down. I mean, that was a pretty forceful statement there, in terms of suspending these hostages being released. What do you think Hamas actually wants?
Well, they're looking at the end game, right? They want to stay in power. They want the same thing that Trump wants and Netanyahu, right? They want to be in command and control. So yes, they were rattled perhaps by Trump's statements about, deporting all of Gaza. But I think people sitting out there in the Middle East know that that's not realistic. I think either way, we would have come to this point. Everybody knew that the second phase was going to be kind of the breaking point and the difficult stage. So you blame your favorite bad guy. Is it Netanyahu's fault, Trump's fault, Hamas's fault? I mean, hope somebody's, holding the hostage takers at fault. But the ceasefire was going to come under tremendous strain here. I think there have only been minor breaks, no major kind of material breakdowns. And like I said, I think it's going to push through because there's too much at stake. We've got a parade of leaders from the Middle East coming through Washington. Today, the foreign minister from Egypt. Tomorrow, the King Abdullah from Jordan. They all understand that we've got to start stabilizing and rebuilding.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, Laura, I mean, who do you think ends up walking these two sides back a bit, getting them back on track on the ceasefire deal? It doesn't sound like it's going to be President Trump.
Well, the moderate Arab states, all the way back to October 7th or 8th, have always been the swing voters in this conflict. They're the ones really who could make the difference. We had President Biden, remember him? He kept talking about de-escalation. So Trump voters felt like that was appeasement. Now we have Trump coming along and saying, you're not a superpower unless you exercise your superpowers. So he's trying that out, but I don't see him, having any better results. I do think it's going to be the moderate Arab states led by Saudi Arabia. Remember, Trump is a businessman. It's all about the Benjamins, baby. It's the money and investments. It's Trump Incorporated. Saudi Arabia, if anyone, will pull Trump back from the brink.
Yeah, a country that the president really wants to sign a normalization deal with Israel. You mentioned there President Trump scheduled to meet tomorrow with King Abdullah of Jordan. What do you think we can expect there? Because some of those comments the president has been making about Jordan needing to take in more Palestinians, those have not been really received well.
I think that, President Trump is all about personal chemistry. He has a good relationship with King Abdullah. He's also very sympathetic to the Palestinians, and there's a large Palestinian population in Jordan. And what I mean by that is look at the Palestinian Authority today. There are all these headlines about Hamas, pulling back from the hostage release. But the Palestinian Authority that rules the West Bank announced that they would no longer be subsidizing a program called Pay for Slay, which is where you give grants to the families of Palestinian prisoners. Some of them are convicted of violent crimes in Israel. That was a major sticking point between the United States and the Palestinian Authority. So we've got, some slow ball, softball pitches from the Palestinian Authority itself. I do think that there's room here for compromise. Trump is just doing what he always does, is, raising the stakes really high, and then we all come down to about here. We can take a breath, and all the fog and drama clears until the next morning.